So I just found it unique that she had that perspective, but I anticipated that, to be honest.
Yeah, bro, because like, I don't think the idea was we're bringing my dad on. He's an expert on fatherhood.
Of course.
Of all the right things to do.
Of
it
course.
was more so like, what did you do right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And what could we learn from both sides of it?
Or whatever you take away. Like, we're not here to be gurus on whatever the topic is supposed to be, right? We're just here to have a space where we could talk about it. And whether we agree or disagree, you walk away with what you walk away with. And hopefully it's something positive that you can instill in your own. But that's the only message I'll try to get across there, because, like, again, it's just hard to, especially when somebody has actually dealt with it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not a woman, and I've never had the idea of not speaking to my dad, right? Even though my dad is there for majority of my life, and now he's moved out or whatever the case is, it's just like, if I want to talk, like, just from a man's perspective, even, like we said on the podcast, that episode, it was like, if I wanted to go talk to my dad, I'll pick up the phone and talk to my dad. Like, I don't have too heavy of a string to be like, nah, well, he did me something, so I'm not going to talk to him.
Oh, I did that with him.
Did you?
I didn't talk to him for 6 months.
Well, how?
Because I felt like sometimes, like, talking doesn't work anymore. And I'm like, this guy's not hearing me.
He's not getting it, right?
So he needs to feel me. So I didn't talk to him for like 6 months.
But did he reach, or he just let bygones be?
Did he reach out?
Mm.
He did a few times, but it was weak reach outs. It wasn't like nothing. You could, he's not gonna try super hard.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually he's like, yo, can we sit down and talk? And eventually I was like, all right, cool. After I had time to just let things go, because like I just felt like after we did the Amazing Race, he was just moving weird. Like I didn't see him for months. I kept inviting him to like my events. I kept being like, shoot some content, and he was just moving weird. What's wrong with this guy? And then like I think he didn't show up to a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, yo, I'm not talking to him. And then finally we chopped it up, and he's just like, I've been going through some. So talk to me, brother.
Even if you don't, though, like,
or just let me know you're going through something. You know what I'm saying?
Just see somebody. You know what I mean? Just to reach out and talk to somebody, even if it's not about that, but just don't sit in whatever you're dealing with, and then draw back from everyone that cares or loves. But
I just like I was going through stuff. Doesn't feel like an excuse to me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like a valid excuse. Like I'm going through stuff, understandable. We all go through things, but there's a point where it becomes your responsibility to now do something about that.
Mm.
You know, and I just feel like too many people lean on I'm going through it as a way to get out of responsibilities. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, even though I think of myself as a mental health advocate, I'm never gonna say, don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do what you need to do
because
of your mental health. It's like, no, let's try to understand ourselves better so we can do the things that we need to do to make ourselves better.
Yo, we're back.
We're back.
Your host, Stef.
Tychon.
You know what I'm saying? You guys, hope you guys had a great week. Check in. How's your week, bro?
Bro, my week was good, actually.
Yeah?
I learned something really important. I actually have ADHD. And it's something I was diagnosed with like long time. Actually.
Okay.
I know everybody says it's like a cool points thing sometimes.
I don't know if it's cool, but
but some people like ADHD when they can't focus on something. But it's like I actually was diagnosed with it. So now like I see an ADHD coach to help me better understand it.
Okay.
There's this girl I met, she had ADHD, and she was telling me like it's really important that you understand it so you better understand yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, so I met with this coach, and she's like, you know what's really important for you? To have fun. Find fun in the things that you're doing. So any task you're doing, any project you're working on, make sure you find something fun about it, and that'll help keep you going. So recently I've been thinking about like, how do I have more fun in my life? And playing ball.
Pure, bro.
I just been one of those things. Like
what a release.
Bro.
Basketball is one of those things. So,
and I've been just using it as like a place to ground myself and have fun. And it's one place where you don't think about anything else. And like I always try to leave ball because like I played it my whole life. It's like I have this weird feeling about it sometimes where I'm like, I've been playing this my whole life. It's time to move on. But I realize it's actually something I have fun doing. And the more I do it, the more fun life is.
Everything else free for those.
I was cooking mans last week, calling them lickle dogs and like just things. Just got out of jail. Like I was just talking bare foolishness in the game. But it was just fun. Like it was just like just to talk shit and play ball and like laugh with guys you don't even know.
Right.
It brings people together and I don't know. So it's like I've been just focusing on trying to have fun in the things I'm doing rather than just grind. You can't have fun. So week's been good for that reason.
Yeah.
How about you?
To be honest, I'd be lying if I said it was bad. It was definitely not bad. I just, again, I don't look at my weeks as good or bad. Sometimes I'm kind of just there. I feel like everybody says this, like when you get to an adulting age or stage in life, it's just like things just go. You just, time passes you by, or whatever the case is. You have fun in doing things. But so I have fun spots. I have low moments. I have high moments. It's just another one of those weeks, I guess. It's just rolling with it. But yeah, no, I mean, we're gonna get into today's episode on kind of what surrounds that, which is like mental health and what all of that means to you or I. And hopefully you guys take away something with this from this episode for sure. So for starters, like what is how would you define mental health, and then what does it mean to you? Or I guess those are two of the same.
How would I define mental health? I mean, I think I kind of describe it as, if we thought of like our physical health, I would just say it's the mind's version of that. So when we have our physical health, are we healthy? So to me, being healthy physically is like, I can get up, I can walk, I can move, I'm mobile, and there's levels to it, right? There's like, you're a super athlete, super healthy, you eat really well, you eat clean, you're moving at a super high level. And then there's the other side of that, where it's like, you could be able-bodied, but you're limping everywhere, you can't move, you're not stretching, you're not eating right. And I think it's the same thing with your mind. Like, you could be really mentally healthy, which means that like your mind is not an obstacle to your daily life. So with your body, or not as much of an obstacle to your daily life. So with your body, it's like, is your body an obstacle to your daily life? No. Then you're pretty healthy. Is your mind an obstacle to your daily life? No, then you're pretty healthy. And on the other side of that, is your mind a super obstacle to your daily life? Can you not get out of bed? Are you always upset? Are you always sad? Or you just have a negative view on everything? Like, that to me would be mentally unhealthy. And then there's unhealthy to the point of illness. Just like there's physical illness, like a broken leg or a disease, it's the same thing with your mind. So I feel like when I think of mental health, I just think of the range of possibilities as it relates to how does your mind affect your daily life. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Ironically enough, I do have a definition.
You do? What is it?
Yeah. So just basically how you as the human, emotional, psychologically, and your social well-being, right? All three of those things kind of tie in to what I guess encompasses all of your mental health, right? So like you had touched on, if you're physically able to do something, that could have an effect to your mind. It all starts in your mind, right? So if you're not physically able to do what you may once been able to, it may affect your mind, right? Your emotional being, you're happy, if you're up and you're down, that has something to do with, it all trickles back to your brain. And the same thing to go with everything else, right? So I definitely understand how that definition and what you said kind of coexist and they tie together. And to be honest, before yourself getting on that journey, and then a couple other people that I know that have also embarked on that journey, for me, it was kind of a thing that was kind of like a cliche type of saying, when people start talking about mental health and stuff like that, you just thought it was like that era and that time of life where it's like, damn, everybody's leaning on this or whatever the case is. Until you actually sit down and think of it, it's a little bit more simplistic than the areas that they show up in. Because when you hear it, you might hear it when it comes into traumatic situations, or when you hear it when it comes to people like dealing with court cases or how they wild out or whatever different type of thing. So it's like, for me, it almost felt like an extreme thing. But now, listening to what you've said, being to a couple panels that you have, or listening to other people or other mental health, even just people that have dealt with a lot and unfortunately unalive themselves, it's one of those things where it's like, wow, some of the things that they're dealing with are really relatable to what we all maybe be dealing with. And unfortunately, it's more simple and more everyday than you may lead on to believe, right? So to me, I believe it's definitely something that's really, really important.
100%. I think when we sometimes hear the word health, I made a joke once. It's like we hear these white gloves coming on. We're like, health? I mean, like, put on some white gloves. It's like, yo, someone's going to make me bend over and cough.
Okay.
Like when we hear health, we're just thinking of the most extreme cases.
For sure.
And like when we think of mental health, we're thinking of depression, anxiety, anger. Like we're just thinking of like just
extreme.
What we think of extreme scenarios.
Right.
But where it's like, it's prevalent in our everyday life. Like it affects how we live our daily lives. And like, for me, like when I really started taking it in was when I felt like I had suicidal ideation. And not to say like, I was like, I'm going to kill myself. But like when I started thinking about like, oh shoot, like maybe life would be
like the rather than type of
like if I wasn't, it would be probably easier to not be alive. And then like when you hear of people committing suicide, you're like,
how do they get there? Like,
I wasn't thinking how they get there. I was like, shit,
really?
Like
that's my thing.
I get it. Like that, I remember thinking that at one point. Like, and not to say I get it as in I know what they were going through.
Yeah, of course.
But like I see how it could get there.
Really?
You know what I mean? Because it's like life can be painful at times.
For sure.
Right? And a lot of that pain in a lot of cases manifests for how we're processing life. Like things happen for us and not to us. But when we think everything's happening to us,
that's important. I like that saying.
You know what I mean? Like when we think everything's happening to us, it can just manifest into something so much bigger than what it is. Like even when you talked about your week being positive or negative, like I don't really think anything's positive or negative.
Really?
Things just happen. How we process it
is
where the positive and negative comes from.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could be late for work. That could be a positive in the sense that I might have missed a car accident.
Literally.
Or the lateness.
I took my time getting here.
I took my time getting here. I stopped and got a coffee on the way. That could be the positive. Or the negative could be like, my boss yelled at me. It depends how you want to process that. Somebody cut me off in traffic. I could laugh about it. Or I could snap and it could ruin my day.
No, that's a fact.
That just really depends on how I process it. And a lot of that comes from our mind.
Yeah. So you know what? Even going back to that, I definitely feel like you're right. And looking at even just how my week had went and then saying to myself, oh, this is up and it's down or whatever the case is. It's definitely how you look at your perspective of the situation for sure. So stating that to you about the definitions, kind of like it being emotional, psychological, and your social well-beings. Not to say that those are all, actually, you know what? How important do you feel each one are? And does there need to be a balance? Can you go without one? Can you, like, how would you say, like, because there's no way to say, like, there's a perfect mental state, but, like, what would a balance of those three look like?
Mindfulness. Balance of those three is mindfulness. And when I say mindfulness, because like there's the emotional, understanding your emotions,
right?
Joy, sadness, anger, pain, there's those things. And like what I even recently discovered about me in therapy was that I would talk about traumatic situations as if they're just, because I'm so used to talking on a podcast, like I would talk on traumatic situations. Like, oh yeah, that's just, I got kidnapped, I almost died, but it is what it is. The therapist is like, Jesus Christ.
Stop.
He's like, you're talking about your childhood always being like, I was talking about my childhood too, and always being wrong and always being picked on, always being suspended, and just felt like I could never get anything right in my childhood. And the way I spoke about it was in a way where she's like, you sound like you're numb to it. And she's like, does that make you sad? I'm like, yeah, but it is what it is. And she's like, what was a big takeaway moment from that session was, she's like, your inability to express sadness or anger can also result in an inability to feel joy and happiness. Because if you can't express yourself in extreme emotions, you'll always be stuck in this middle ground of not feeling anything. And that itself can be a difficult way to live life. Because if you don't have highs and lows, you're just moving at a flat line. Is that even living? Right. And even understanding how to process. So emotions are a big part of it. I say all that to say that emotions are important. Then your psychological state. How do we think? And it's like, I'm actually taking a coaching program right now where I learn how to listen to people speak to evaluate how they think about situations. Am I always making myself a victim? Am I saying everybody's wrong? Am I like, well, how do I think of the world? How do I interpret the things that happen to me? And then your social well-being, like how do I interact with others? Right? So when I say like all of that encapsulates when I think about all that coming together and I think of mindfulness, what mindfulness is to me in the simplest terms is being able to step outside yourself and examine how am I doing in all of these areas.
Okay.
So when I say being mindful, it means like, imagine you treated yourself as your own friend. Can I step outside myself and be like, yo, bro, what's going on? How you doing? And then emotionally, I could be like, I'm sad. And then psychologically, be like, no, I'm being a victim right now. And then socially, I can be like, no, the way I handled that situation, the relationship, it wasn't right. Or that person, I need to set better boundaries because
they didn't do it with me properly.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Or how I would like to be. Right.
Exactly. So being mindful would be being able to look at all these things and reflect on them constantly.
Okay.
And some of us get like, as we start to like learn how to practice these things and we have a good mental health toolkit, as I call it, we start to be able to do these things in moments and more frequently. So like, I feel like some of us, it'll take us, for some people, it could take like 8 months to be like, you know what? I'm sad.
So, okay, actually, perfect. How important do you feel like, or even in therapy, I don't know if you've gone through this, but talking with your therapist, how important is it to sit in those emotions and just be able to actually feel and let them kind of consume you for you to overtake them or overcome them?
It's very important. But I'd be lying if I told you I was good at that.
I don't know.
Like I can't say I'm good at that, but it is important to feel what you're feeling, because if we don't feel the emotions, to me it means we're burying them. Right? And my historic trigger, not even trigger, my like vice historically used to be calling a girl. I'm sad, let me call some girl, come over, just kick it. Distract me from whatever, you know what I'm saying? Distract me from whatever it is that's happening.
Right.
And that would just be my vice. I wouldn't feel what I was feeling. Or just even something as simple as like, I don't like the way I feel right now, let me go on my phone and scroll on social media.
Whatever you could do to find out.
Whatever I could do to distract myself from feeling what I was feeling. But I actually feel like a lot of us, we don't even listen to ourselves. Right? Like imagine I came to you, Steph, and I was like, bro, I'm stressed. And then you went like this. Hello?
That's essentially what you're doing to your body.
That's what you're doing to yourself.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's mod. You're feeling something. And you're going to yourself, hello? Yo, come over still.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yeah, right?
But that's what we do. We do it to ourselves, but we never do that to a friend. But this is self-love.
Yeah.
We don't show ourselves love. We don't even listen to ourselves. What? I'm feeling sad. Let me just sit in it. And sometimes, like as men, we want to get to the bottom of why.
Man, we start doing logical digging. That's what I call it.
Why? Why am I sad?
Yeah.
Why? What could it be? What is it? Sometimes we're sad, and it might take time to sit in it for it to come together as to why. And it doesn't always click right away. Like the other day, like when I was sad, I realized I lost 3 friends.
Yeah.
They didn't die. That's what makes it
support. That's important.
It makes it sometimes even harder. They're alive.
They're still around.
They're still around. We just don't speak. That's painful. 3 people I love.
Yeah.
I no longer speak to. It's a reason to be sad, but a lot of times just push that down to the side, keep it pushing.
It is what it is. That's the statement I think that's really toxic, and we need to kind of explore that. Well, it is what it is. Because what is this? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? What are you about to be embarking on? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you say like it, because I used to make, if I could say there's like 2 or 3 things that I live by, it's that.
It is what it is.
One of those is that for sure. It is what it is. Like, yo, if it happens to you, because like you said before, like you now start to think like, yo, things aren't happening to you, they're just happening, and then your perspective kind of dictates which way that could go. But it is what it is. Kind of just leaves it for open interpretation, right? Where it's like, however this goes, I'm cool, right? But you're not.
It's interesting because like there are 2 sides to that statement. Like things are what they are. It's absolutely true. But like it is what it is.
It's empty.
Yeah, it's like, am I sad about this? And remember, like sadness is not negative.
Right.
it also just is as well.
Right.
Like that happened, that made me sad.
Yeah.
Right. But it is what it is misconstrued as being, I'm nothing about this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think we lied to ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like that, we'll say things like, it's all good. I'm blessed.
Nah, that's a fact. That's a fact. That definitely happens. I know it happens to all of us, to be honest. That is what it is. Or I'm good, I'm blessed. We go home, we kick ourselves. On that drive home, we kick ourselves. Whatever we're doing, like, and we get that smidgen of moment where we get that resurfaces in our mind. We're definitely not blessed. Not blessed.
I'm blessed and I'm good might be two of the biggest lies that we say in today.
Of all time. Of all time.
How are you? Good. You?
Yeah.
Good. Lies.
Yeah. Whole body's breaking down. Whole body's breaking down, but I'm blessed. No, you're not, big dog.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we ask you, when someone asks you, how are you doing? What determines whether or not you could open up about how you're actually
doing? You got the right one today, boy. I tell you. Me personally,
yeah,
I'm always gonna tell somebody, and it's a coping mechanism for sure, and I know that. Whether it's wrong or right, cool, but I'm gonna always tell you I'm blessed or I'm good or I'm good, like I'm okay or whatever the case is, I'm all right. Whatever the more the needle leaning to the positive side, I'm gonna tell you that, because if I'm not sure how you are gonna deal with it. So unless I've embarked, I keep saying embark, unless I've come across a time or a situation with the person I'm speaking to where I felt like they've been vulnerable with me, and even then it's like, bro, because I've had a few situations in life where it's like, yo, things I tell people have been kicked back in my face similarly, or I feel like I'm not heard all the way through, because when another similar situation comes about and you may be there to see it, or I tell you again, you don't respond in a, wow, this has happened to them before, this bothered them before, like that type of comforting state. You kind of, some people may have addressed me with a, oh wow, this is a new type of thing for you, and it's like, well, brother, I've already explained this to you. You know what I mean? So it's like, at that point, it becomes like, oh, maybe you don't care, so I'm just not gonna express anymore. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, I'm always gonna go to that quick, and that all felt like such a moment explaining, but in my mind, it goes that fast. It's like, wow, this person wasn't there, or this person didn't listen, or this person, like, it just happens that fast. So it's like, I'm good, and I won't. You know what I mean?
You feel like you almost can't trust them with the weight that you.
And it's ironic that you say that, because I feel like in a lot of areas, the people that I do talk to, or people that may ask that question, I want to be real with. I can only be real with so much, but that's definitely something that I place upon them. That's not something that they've maybe actually shown me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's definitely a wall up type of thing.
Question for you, follow up to that. Do you feel like we should ask permission to put that weight onto people? I've heard I actually don't even know what the answer is to this question, because like we all could have different opinions on it. I only ask it because I've heard people say, like, you know, when you're.
Sorry to cut you off. I'm going to go to a actual conversation that I've had with somebody. They'll know if they hear it, but they won't know. Like the general public won't know exactly what I'm talking about. But they actually asked me, because they know that I'm uncomfortable with how that situation could go. For example, like if you hit me up about a message or something that you received, I kind of like I don't like being involved in side private relationships and what they speak about. So if you were to come and tell me about a situation that was going on, especially with two people that I know that's going on between you two, I don't like hearing how privatized that conversation may have been, just because that's for you guys, right? So she actually did really well with coming to me and asking, hey, do you mind if I ask you about this? And I'm gonna tell you verbatim what she had said. regardless. Can I ask for your help with something, ... potentially uncomfortable for you? That's the first time somebody's ever done that for me. You know what I mean? And I felt that was really mature, especially because they know that I am not comfortable with that, right? So it kind of goes to your question. And no, I don't think it's necessary, but it was actually really, really nice. You know what I mean? Because now I show that, it kind of shows to me that you've heard and you already understand that I don't like something. Even if in that moment I'd be gung-ho to help regardless. It's kind of like you've taken heed into what I do and don't like. And then you're about to be vulnerable as well, but you ask the permission. So it's like you're also being vulnerable. Like you're allowing me to be vulnerable with you in a sense, taking me out of whatever comfortability, or maybe there's no comfortability, but you're allowing that space, that check-in space type of thing. So I feel like it's not necessary, to answer your question in short, but it's definitely nice.
Knowing your personnel. So she knew that, that could be potentially uncomfortable for you.
Right.
So she prefaced
that conversation with that. And like you said, that permission to ask for vulnerability.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how nice or how important that may be. And I can't expect everybody to do that. Some people just dump. And you're a good listener, and I know that from experience. Other people have told me I'm a good listener, right? From experience. So sometimes we just happen to be people's dumping ground for their weight, right? Which is not always a negative thing, but of course, you have your own weight. So that question, to preface everything, to be honest, would be really nice, right? Especially if you are going through something. And it's like, damn, all that weight, I want to be there for you 100%. And this is what you think mentally. Sometimes we don't have this conversation. A lot of the times we don't have that conversation. If you were to come with me with something and it's like, yo, I really need you right now, or whatever the case, and you were ready to just dump all your feelings in me, I feel like our relationship is that close where it's like, damn, I'll push my shit to the side to be there for my friend. But it's like, yo, sometimes you're not there. You know what I mean? Like you personally are not in that mind state to receive and take on that weight. And again, it goes to self-love. You just got to know sometimes, how do I do this? How do I be there for somebody that when I'm not even there for myself at the moment?
No, you bring up a really good point. I think why I asked you that is because the challenge I have with that question. First of all, no one asked me that question. Everybody pulls up with the baggage. Pulls up with garbage bags. Right. Yo,
see what I'm saying?
Tychon, I need to talk to you.
See what I'm saying?
What's going on? Yo, I'm going through it. I needed to talk to you. I'm going through it. I got to talk to you. And the thing is,
like, what if you said no?
But that's the thing. That's why it's like, even if someone asked the question, that's a hard question to say no to.
Right.
Even if they did ask you.
I don't think so.
Yo, Steph, bro, I'm going through it. Can I holler at you?
See, but you don't. I don't think you lead with that. I think it has to be, and there's no picture perfect way, of course, of how somebody could come across, because then it's like, you might be shutting somebody out. And sometimes they're not always going to ask you in the most perfect way, right? But if same way that my friend did it, say, yo, can I ask you something? You don't know which way that's going to go. It's just going to ask you something, right? Or can I ask for your help, or whatever the case is? And I was like, yo, right now, not a good time. Or I'm dealing with something right now, or whatever, I'll get back to you, or can we talk about this later? Like, I feel like that allows more avenues for you to travel, even though if you're not saying no.
Yeah. You don't dump any weight on them first. It's like, hey, I have something really important to talk to you about.
You know what I'm saying? Can you make time for this? Or whatever the case is, like, yo, I don't have the time right now, but can we talk about this later? Or I give you a better time tonight. Like, I give you more time. It's just allows people to, again, to me, relationships are a lot of the times transactional, right? And I know people aren't going to like that word, but that's what they are. You see what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
So, for example, I said, yo, me and Tychon, our relationship is transactional. There's things that you like about this relationship that you either give or receive, and the same thing for me, right? If you're comfortable, a lot of times, if you're comfortable in doing that, it'll be a long-lasting relationship. If you're not comfortable, that's where problems arise, right? So I think coming to terms with the idea that, hey, I like it here because of what I receive or what I give, either of those, is just it just kind of baselines what the relationship is. So I'll give you a better example of what it actually would be. So like for me and so like for you and a significant other, for example, right? You provide humor, you provide safety, you provide obviously the comfort that goes along with the safety, just like different things that they're looking for, right? And in return, you receive from that significant other, ... That is, in fact, transactional. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be monetary, and I feel like that's what transaction kind of boils it down to meaning, but that's not what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I just feel like in a lot of our relationships, whatever we get out of relationship, person to person, you either like what you're receiving, so then in turn you give, or vice versa. But you only stay in something as long-term because of those things. Do you understand what I mean by that transactional?
Yeah. I think when we hear the word transaction, our back goes up.
Yeah, of course, because it goes down to monetary. It goes to monetary.
We're like, hold on, you're giving to get? But I get what you're saying is that, like, in every relationship, you are receiving and you are giving.
Of course.
Right? But it's like, when you break down those things, it's almost like it feels so logical.
It does.
Like, it doesn't have that emotional feel. Like, there's also just, again, an energy and a feeling and emotions attached to relationships that are very difficult to measure. So when we say transactional, it sounds like we're measuring.
In a sense, for sure. But in now saying that, if you don't like what you are receiving and you're giving too much or whatever the case is, are you there too long? Like, that's when you start to think about, because that's what it always turns out to be, right? And in the negative moments, you're like, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. They're not doing this, they're not doing. Still transactional. You know what I mean? So however you try to boil it down, whether it's emotional or actual things that you could grasp, like, it's baseline. Yeah. That's kind of what it is. You know what I mean? So I feel like, again, going back to your question of it being would it be nice or whatever the case is in terms of somebody asking or prefacing a conversation, I just feel like, yeah, it would be, because you're giving me the space to actually deal with you in a time that I can deal with you, right? And then I'm in turn of you giving me that, I can now give you in return that space to express. Do you know what I mean? So in a weird form, it goes down to give and receive transactions, is what I'm saying.
You make a really good point, because actually I remember this happened to me a few months ago. 3 people ruined my day.
Okay.
I got up in the morning. First of all, I went against my rule. I have this rule where I don't use my phone for at least the first 90 minutes after waking up.
Okay. So when did that start?
Maybe a year ago. Sometimes I break it though.
Okay.
But for the most part, I don't.
90 minutes, hour and a half.
Yeah. Do not look at my phone.
Damn. Okay.
So even sometimes I go to the gym, I'll look at it to play music.
Of course.
But I'm not texting anybody back.
Yeah.
Right? Or like going on Instagram. Social media, for sure, no. Right? Messages, maybe. Social media, absolutely not. So this one morning I broke my rule. I saw a missed call, called the person back. Yo, can you believe this happened? This is happening in my life. Like, just dumping everything on me. First thing in the morning. Cool. Whatever. A few minutes go by, next brethren calls me. Yo, can you believe this happened, man? Dumps everything on me again. That's 2.
Yeah.
My head started hurting.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever.
On top of you already having to think about what you're dealing for the day.
Yeah. No breakfast either yet. You know what I'm saying? Get another phone call. Someone else dumped something on me. Day was done. The day was ruined. 3 people dumped things on me. When really, I broke my own rule. And I didn't have the capacity for all that. And I didn't have boundaries in it. I remember I have a friend that says boundaries are the distance at which I can protect you and myself at the same time. Boundaries are for us.
That's a fucking bar.
When he said that to me, I was like, yo.
Is he rap?
But yes.
Is he rap?
Huh?
He
doesn't. He should be. He looks like a rapper.
Oh man, that's not good. That's not good. But continue, sorry. Yeah, that's nice. This is protecting me and you at the same time.
Yes.
Okay.
Right? The distance at which I can love you and myself at the same time. But often we think boundaries are in place to hurt someone. Or not in place to hurt someone, but in place to block someone out. but rather it's just to protect me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I really think that's something that we forget. And like what you're saying is like having a boundary of having the ability to say no,
Mm-hmm.
and then having foresight in just the fact of asking people questions
that you know could be a lot.
Yeah, you're putting weight on someone. Absolutely, that's a really good point.
Consideration. It's nice. Okay, so you actually touched on therapy. What do you feel like the importance of it is, or the lack thereof importance? Like what? So for example, obviously there's that stigma out there, of course, of like, you know, therapy. And I used to have the idea of, yo, who's gonna tell me about me, bro? You know what I mean? Like when I go there and I tell these people my problems, but that's a misconstrued way of thinking, because from what you've alluded to, they're only really there giving me the tools for me to figure out my own stuff. They're not telling me about me at all. You know what I mean? So please do share. What do you think the importance of therapy is? Or if you could reach out, you know what I mean? Tell anybody.
So there's a couple of things. Like, I wouldn't say therapy's for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'd recommend
Why?
it. Because like, as I referenced earlier, like mental health toolkit.
Okay.
It just may not be the thing for you. Because therapy presents itself in different ways. I think it's because it's a professional that you're working with that's able to tap in and ask you certain questions and help you understand yourself and give you certain tools to navigate through this world and understand yourself better. I think it's ideal, but I don't think it's the only way you could get that.
Okay.
Right? Like I think you could get it from, I think you could evaluate if you're very self-aware and you know how to journal in a certain way, or you do workbooks, or you have really good friends who ask you really good questions and challenge your ways of thinking. I think there's other ways you could potentially achieve things that you could achieve in therapy. But I don't think people who are not doing therapy are doing the other ways. So it's like, it's not.
It's rather this or that type of thing.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, that's why I recommend it, because it's like, I don't, from what I know, I don't know many people who are not doing therapy, but yet they're super self-aware and getting it from somewhere else. So that's why I usually recommend it, because it just brings a self-awareness to you. And there's so many different types of therapy. And I think coaching's good too. Like, I feel like therapy in a lot of cases will focus on past, present, future.
Okay.
Where coaching focuses on present and future. So how do you get out your own way to achieve X, Y, Z? Whereas like therapy can also look into the past. Like, what weight are you carrying with you
that is prohibiting you from moving forward,
or just making it so much harder to move forward? And I think like what I'm speaking to is trauma. A lot of our trauma in our lives stems from our childhood, and the beliefs we formed, the behaviors we have, just the way in which we navigate the world,
teaching, disciplines, everything.
A lot of it comes from our childhood.
For sure.
Why we don't believe in ourselves, why we're so scared to fail, why we're scared to succeed, why we're scared of judgment. A lot of these things can trace back to a moment or several moments in our childhood. And I think therapy really helps you go back and uncover those things, so they are not the things that are holding you down as you try to navigate your life. Like for me, it's like one of the things that I'm trying to uncover right now is like, yeah, like my childhood. Why do I have such a big fear of being myself on social media? Where does that come from? Why am I so scared to show up as me? Well, potentially because when I was a child, I was always suspended, in trouble for being myself. Grounded, suspended, beatings, everything. Like it was just everything I did and just being the essence of in the essence of myself was wrong. So now, like as an adult, I feel like I get into a lot of situations like, should I say that? Should I do anything? Will I be too much?
Overthought.
Yeah, will people think this of me? Will people think that of me? And truly, it affects my confidence. But that is something that's deep rooted in my childhood. That's only something now that I'm starting to uncover, because I was just carrying this weight of, why am I so scared to be me in certain situations? Not with my friends really, but like when it came to like being in front of a more public setting, Yeah.
So how do you go about dealing with that then? Like after, so what I'm essentially asking is now when they uncover these things or overturn these rocks or whatever, and you find out maybe this is what it's from or whatever, and they help you realize that, are you left to now deal with how you overcome that, or do they kind of give you tools in doing so?
There are tools. They always give you tools. Like an example of a tool would be, for example, I remember my therapist giving me this one. This one's such a simple one. It's like, whenever you have a negative thought, whether it's about yourself or about a situation, come up with 2 other realities. So ask yourself, is that true? And then come up with 2 other scenarios. So if I say, okay, if I post this picture, nobody will like it. Or people will make fun of me. Okay. That's what I've decided is one truth. But what are 2 alternate truths? Everybody could love it. It could go viral. Those are 2 alternate truths. What that now does is, it now helps me evaluate that truth against other ones. So now I'm thinking of it in a bigger picture perspective than just being stuck in this one truth. And I think that's part of the exercise of a lot of times getting to know ourselves, is that sometimes we think a certain way because our brain's a muscle. We've been thinking that way for so long. So in order to think other ways, we have to tap into something else in order to do that. And that's this tool.
Yeah.
So now when we start practicing other ways of thinking, we can now see other realities, right? Sometimes there's bad things that just happen to people because just of the way they think.
Yeah.
I have a friend that just, bad stuff will just happen to this guy. He's getting evicted. His car payments are due. They want to repo his car. Just bad things happen. And he's always negative. So it's like he got used to this negative way of thinking. And then bad things started happening to him. And then that just becomes how you see life.
It's negative.
And then therapy is good for these things because it helps you better understand yourself and provides you alternative ways of thinking.
Help you recenter, refocus, not lean to one way or another.
Yeah, it helps you find other truths.
Yeah.
Right? Like a perception is reality. But sometimes our perception is skewed by experiences that we've had throughout our whole life. Right? Like even when you gave the example of not being able to, when people ask you how you're doing, you say good, and you don't really want to get into, this, how you're really doing. But your ability to want to do that has been skewed from the experiences that you've had.
Right.
Whereas if you had different experiences, or you were able to derive a different meaning from those experiences, you might be more open to talking about how you feel and communicating. But it's because you've now attributed, in the past I've been ignored, and in the past it's been thrown in my face, or the past I haven't been heard. So I don't want to open up. Whereas if you attributed a different meaning to those things, maybe you would open up more. You know what I mean? And not to say any of those things is right or wrong, but it's like therapy helps give you just an alternate way of seeing life and seeing yourself.
I like that. Okay. So for anybody out there that's kind of on the fence of whether therapy works for you or it doesn't, just give it a try. Clearly, you never know. Change perspectives.
Facts. And it's funny that you say that because I remember even seeing something on Instagram the other day and was like, we spend all this money throughout our lives and invest all this time in learning about all these other things, like learning about subjects, learning about money, learning about relationships, learning about all these type of things, but we don't invest anything into learning who we are. And I was like,
profound for sure.
Wow. Because we're always going to be with ourselves for the rest of our lives.
For sure.
But we won't even invest in us and in knowing who we are, knowing who our parents, our parents are partially studying our parents, studying ourselves, so that we know how we can operate and best navigate life. It's interesting that we don't do that.
Definitely.
And we can do more of that. So that's why I recommend it, because it's even me, I hear all these coaches and gurus talk about even LeBron. LeBron talks about spending $1 million on his body. Essentially, what he's saying is, I'm investing in myself.
Most people find it
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But man's 41 still hooping. Is he 41?
But whatever he is, he's doing it better than most people with past 35.
And this is what I'm saying.
Ever.
So it's why can't why aren't we doing that for ourselves and our minds?
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's super fair. So getting into another thing that we both found the joy in, that helps with mental health is fitness, right? So I wanted to kind of break down, fitness and kind of, we can explain to people that doesn't have to be, you don't have to be no weightlifting guru. You don't have to be no power lifter. Just something as simple as taking care of yourself physically, right? Going on walks, eating better. Any of these things where it helps you listen to your body and what feels good for you. I think that's fitness. So that's kind of what it means to me. What does fitness mean to you?
Fitness to me is it's like just maintaining the mind-body connection, and always exercising the mind-body connection, because I think like the mind and the body are obviously connected.
They're always in tune.
But through fitness, it's really just kind of just living a healthy lifestyle in terms of how you're moving your body and how you're eating. Yeah, I almost like describe it as just maintaining a healthy lifestyle, because it has positive effects on your physical health and your mental health.
Okay. So how has it helped you specifically? Like, how has it shaped you other than obviously the physique that you have? Like, how has fitness helped you progress in areas of life that people may just think outside of muscles growing?
I think mentally, absolutely. Like physically, I think there's even like a mental component to the physical part.
Right.
When you work out, you feel fit, and then you look fitter, and then you feel better about the way you look.
Right.
So that is a part of it that we can't downplay, because like when you see a vein popping out your arm, that feels good.
It does. You see, you said to look around.
You see a little vein, so where that come from?
You know what I'm saying?
You got some new muscle?
So you didn't have a week or two ago, you look at yourself like, yo, brother.
You know what I'm saying?
Look nice.
Yeah, you can flex the chest a little bit.
Trust me.
Feels nice. But mentally, I think there's a few things there. I always say like self-confidence is usually derived from your ability to keep the promises to yourself. And one of the easiest ways to consistently keep promises to yourself is through fitness. It's one of like the simplest ways. Like, okay, I'm gonna move my body every day. You start doing that, you start being confident because you're keeping a promise to yourself.
Right.
Like, I would feel confident in our friendship if you did everything you said you were gonna do. I'd be like, Stef's a man of his word. I trust that guy.
For sure.
It's the same thing that comes to how you treat yourself.
Right.
So to me, fitness is one of the easiest ways to build confidence, because you are keeping promises continually to yourself. I think another thing about it too that's really important for me is that it's a place where you can release energy. And when I say that is like, when we think of emotions, people talk about emotions as being, emotions are energy in motion.
Right.
Sadness, happiness is just energy in motion. And sometimes like we keep emotions within us. And I feel like sometimes through fitness, we can let them out. If we're angry, we can let it out. If we're happy, we could let it out too. But like fitness helps us process our emotions and deal with our emotions, because it's a place for us to expend energy.
Right.
And it's also sometimes, even when we're talking about basketball, it's a place often where if you do it properly and you lock in, like you're not on your phone, you're not texting people, you're not calling, like you're actually being present with your body for a certain prolonged amount of time. So it's like you're actually being mindful and present.
Right.
And really just feeling, how do I feel? And also just prioritizing you and doing something that's actually for you. So I think for those reasons, the fact that you're doing something for you, the fact that you're dealing with your emotions, the fact that like there's just so many benefits to fitness, in my opinion.
Speaking of that, I want to show you something that I found, or speak on something that I found. It's called the 10 benefits of physical activity. Now, I forgot the source, but
we don't have
Google it. I promise you, one of the two things that'll come up, the first two things. But as you alluded to, 10 benefits of physical activity: better mood, better brain function, more money in your wallet.
Bumba. For real?
That's what they say.
Oh, I believe it.
I don't know. I'd have to evaluate that. We'll see though.
Go check my bank account.
Good Life's doing a number on me.
Yo, they be doing the bi-weeklies.
Nah, Good Life's doing a number on me.
Shout out Good Life.
You sound good. Love it there though. Great space, great people. But boy, they do a number on me. We gotta talk about these things. Lower risk of heart disease and stroke. Okay. Lower risk of type 2 diabetes or diabetes complications. Lower risk of some cancers. Longer life. Stronger bones and muscles. So those things right there already, right, are some things that stick out to me. Is just stronger bones and muscles. For example, I was a person that used to hate on going to the gym, even going back from high school and university. Gym for what? I'm young, I'm spry.
So I'm spry.
I'm young, I'm spry. You ever try to get those twigs that you try to, bust, don't break? Just show green on the inside. I'm young and I'm spry, but I'm green. But boy, does that go fast. You get aches and pains and different things like that. But I found now, even after having those aches and pains, you get back into fitness, you start doing things a little bit more regularly. The price also has me in some certain disciplines, right? Where it's like you're paying for something, so you might as well use it. It's taking money out your pocket, right? But so stronger bones and muscle. I just feel like certain aches and pains because of the regularity that I'm doing things and not just jumping up to do something once or twice a week, where there's a uniformity to my week where I'm doing it 3-4 times. Now, when I do other things that, certain explosions or certain things that my body may now expect because I'm doing it so often, they're not there anymore. You know what I mean? So I think those things are important in terms of that. Better brain function, like you had alluded to earlier, where you're doing things that help your mind and body move in unison, which is a release in some forms. It's a confidence builder in other forms. Like different things fire off in your mind that helps, brain function work. So I'm saying you said when you wake up, you go to the gym. That's something that helps your body all together wake up instead of just your mental, just getting out of bed and just, now you're moving sluggish. It helps movement, blood flow, everything, so you just better brain function, better moods. So I think out of these 10 benefits, there's definitely things that they're definitely not lying about. Definitely have to check the more money in the wallet part though. But.
Yeah, 100%. The thing that stood out to me is you mentioned like 4 or 5 diseases, which is actually really interesting because like I've been reading a little bit about this. And like, even if you just think of the word dis-ease, like...
Oh, you break these down for real?
I don't break them down.
Oh, okay.
So how I read about it.
Okay.
But it talked about like the lack of ease. Right. And a lot of times disease can result from just trapped energy, trapped emotions you haven't dealt with.
Break the body down for sure.
Just breaks your body down. And like working out and being physically active actually allow you to get some of these things out of your body. Because it's like not that you're going there to process your emotions, but like the stress you're holding on to, you can go there and release it. Yeah. And sometimes I truly believe there's a lot of disease that's just caused by stress.
For sure.
And I feel like fitness is one of the ways that you can help release some of that.
Yeah. No, definitely I agree. Now, how do you feel personally when you work out? Or sorry, when you don't work out? Because I know for me, boy, start kicking myself. Like when like you said, even goes to discipline. Like I really feel like that it's something that I don't feel good. Like the same way, actually, you alluded to this on our podcast where you said when you don't get a haircut, you feel not yourself. Well, sometimes I feel like today's it's 7:17 and however long this goes for, I know that at some point today I need to go to the gym and I haven't. But if I don't, it's like I keep the promise to myself. I missed a day. Like it actually bothers me. You know what I mean? So how about yourself?
So I got to do a lot of work on this one because it's a very loaded question.
Okay.
In my head. How I feel when I don't work out, I feel like shit, to be honest with you. And I was talking to one of my coaches about this, and she was saying to me, she's like, when you're feeling in a shitty mood, evaluate. There's a few things you can evaluate. How did I sleep? Did I eat? Did I move my body today? Those 3 things. A lot of times when you're feeling like shit, one of those things are at least true, or if not all 3.
Right.
right? So it's like, usually when I haven't moved my body, I feel like shit. So when I'm feeling like shit, I ask myself, have I done those things? But one important thing to take away from that is taking away the shame and guilt in it. Because shame and guilt, like, I'm doing this coaching program, and they tell us, take the word should out of your vocabulary. Because should is riddled with shame and guilt.
Right.
I should have did this. I should have did that. You're living in the past, right? Instead, let's focus on what we can do better next time.
Okay.
You know, what I can do better next. So I didn't go to the gym today, and I might not have time to go to the gym. That's okay. I won't miss twice. I won't miss tomorrow. Instead of being like, shit, I didn't keep a promise to myself. Because then you get into this negative feedback loop of shit talking yourself and then looking at the negative and focusing on the negative. And now you're in a bad place. And now you might miss the gym tomorrow because you feel like shit that you missed it the day before. And now you're starting a new habit of missing the gym.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that actually happened to me. I started a habit of missing the gym.
But don't you feel like that point of talking shit to yourself kind of is motivating in a sense? Or no, not really?
It can be. But it depends. Like Kobe.
Yeah.
When I hear Kobe, rest in peace. Yeah. When I hear Kobe talk, stop negotiating with yourself.
Yeah.
But he's not saying it in a way and saying you're shit for the mistakes you've made. He's just saying be better.
Right.
So instead of focusing on what you did wrong, it's not shit talking yourself to say be better.
Right.
Be better tomorrow.
Right.
If that's how you gotta talk to yourself, do that. But don't down talk yourself. You get what I mean? Because like you wouldn't say that to your brethren. Like if your brethren say, yo, I missed the gym, you're like, bro, you suck, dog. Come on. What's going on? What's wrong with you? You'd be like, bro, you said you wanted it. Be better. And I think that's the thing you can ask yourself. And I think sometimes I find like that can be the difference when I talk to, like, when I have my therapist who's a woman, and then I have my coach. I feel like their tonalities are very different. She'll be like, it's okay, forgive yourself. And he'll be like, I expect better from you. Be better.
Simply put, yeah.
And I respond differently to both of them because like one is really just they're both emphasizing self-love, just in a different way. And sometimes I need to hear be better.
Stern.
And sometimes I need to hear like, it's okay.
That's important for sure.
You know, you're doing a lot.
So this is kind of one of my last questions for this is like, the importance of eating healthy and listening to your body and what it, and what you like and then what it rejects and paying attention to those things. Now, I bring this up because, a little personal, I know that you said to me like months, almost a year back, that you said you had a problem. We used to go for steaks all the time. Like during COVID, if you guys didn't know, this is one thing that me and this guy used to do. Like we used to just say, yo, pick me up. We're making good money now. It's like restaurateur. We're just going to go around and just try different foods, try this steakhouse, that steakhouse, go over here, eat a lamb. Like, you know what I mean? Just different things. And then to hear like maybe a year and a half later, he comes to me, he's like, yo, brother, I don't process that food the same anymore. So how do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about the importance of listening to your body, what it likes and what it rejects and different things like that? Or do you force it?
I force it sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Feel good
cheese?
Feel good foods.
I should not be eating cheese. Cheese is blessed. But the way my body feels.
Cheese is good, bro.
But my belly talks to me after I eat cheese. Yo, I should not be eating that. But I think it's really important to listen to your body because it's so interesting. I always joke and say that, you know, the way our body feels, we'll ignore it. But if it shows up on our face, then we'll listen.
But cheese. You know what I mean?
So if it put bumps on your face, you'll be like, I'm not eating that.
That's what you again.
So whey protein puts bumps on my face.
Yeah.
I do not have whey protein.
Right.
No whey protein bars, no whey nothing. Because there's dairy in whey too. Yeah. So I don't use that.
That's
but
funny.
It's really, I think it's super important because I think in life, we generally know what we want to do or what's right for us and what's wrong for us. Our conscience will speak to us, our brain will speak to us, our emotions will speak, and our bodies will talk to us. And
you know what? It's funny. I have something that's really interesting. So think about it like this, especially the minority culture out there for sure. Well, hear me on this. What? me and my homie, shout out to Renique. we talk about this. He talks about healthy eating with me all the time. We have to unlearn so many things just as a Caribbean culture. Like, why our plates are the size that they are. And I used to laugh at that, like, it's funny. But yo, dog, when you think about it, the mounds and mountains of rice that we have, right? And then on top of that, we're filling on top of the rice, we're filling it with potato. And then 3-4 piece of chicken or more. And we're talking, oh man, I ate good. Brother, you ate terribly, Jay. Rest now. You know what I'm saying? But it feels good. It's food that we know. It's habits that we've learned. But we have to unlearn these things because you don't feel good. After that, you want a K. That's not regular. Right? You wanted to shut your body down because of what you just consumed 10 minutes ago is insane. That's not healthy. Right? And even what I've had to learn now is even in healthy eating is like, I can still have these foods that I like. Right? It's just portion size is the biggest thing that gets, lost in translation with that. And then even if you do eat bad, it's okay to have a burger, bro. It's okay to have fries. But that next meal, you have a smaller meal, or you have a yogurt, like a piece of fruit, instead of it being 2, 3, 4, 5 different meals of, mounds of something in a plate. So I say that to say, it's like, yo, we have to unlearn all these. Like when we go to Thanksgiving, all these things, it's okay. Like instead of getting the big, rectangle plate, get the ones with the sections. Circle. Yeah, get the one with the sections. You know what I'm saying? Where you can put, once that section is full, guess what, big dog? It's full. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean overload to the next, you know what I mean? So it's interesting what we do, like you said, what we do and don't listen to. But to me, those are some things that I've even come across now. It's like, damn, yeah. So most recently we had a dinner for my aunt and my mom last week for their birthdays. You see all the food on the table, it's all nice, you know what I mean? There's some stuff looks glistening, like the mac and cheese was glistening, brother. Smoke on top, all type of stuff. Brother, I used to come with a corner like this big on the plate. Pow, slap it on the plate, chop it up, whatever, just so it spreads out nice. But I took a sliver this time. I couldn't even do it at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just better choices for you, and you just feel better. Guess what? I was up till 2 a.m. that day. Bad choice on sleep, but just, in terms of me keying after it eats, I didn't fall asleep. Your body felt better. You don't feel so bloated. You don't have to unbuckle the belt, all these different things, right? So definitely feel like the choices in not only what we eat, but how we choose to consume is definitely important,
Yeah, brother, everything in moderation. And I think in our culture, I think the biggest takeaway we have to see is when we study a little bit about the history of why we eat what we eat and why our plates were that big, I think we learn a lot about the food was probably made to stretch.
For sure.
That's what it was for. Like, it was just
probably belly use them.
Yeah, we're just eating it now because that's what we know.
Right.
But that probably came from a time where food had to stretch.
Right.
The things we were eating come from, those are historic foods.
For sure. For sure.
Passed down for hardworking men who probably work in the hot sun all day.
You need something to keep going.
We're doing little things. We're standing up for a few hours, or we're going to the gym here. Like, we're not living that life where we need
definitely changed
those type of foods. So it's just being aware of just, again, having everything in moderation and just being mindful of what you're eating. Like, I think one simple thing that I heard once that just stuck with me now is, like, when I look at ingredients, when there's ingredients I can't pronounce on the thing,
should be
yeah.
That's a fact.
Like, that's the easiest test. And it's like, obviously there's going to be stuff that has ingredients that we can't pronounce in it and that we might still consume, but let's try to limit those foods.
Or do your Googles. I said, or do your Googles.
Yeah, just really be aware of the things that you're eating and how much you're eating of it. And I think when we talk about fitness, diet is 80% of the...
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't realize that. I'm going to the gym, doing all this weightlifting that I can lift so much that, I got my body, fam. It's not changing from COVID. Put some pounds on during COVID, my G. So I go back to the gym, I'm expecting this thing to fall off. It's not falling off. Why? Because I'm eating like I did in COVID. I'm going foods all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, more, for sure. That's all I have, really, in terms of questions and shit. But
it's time to talk about it.
Let's get to that, bro.
So we got our game right now. Let's talk about it. It's just having more vulnerable conversations with people you love and care about in your life. So I made a card game. This is the first iteration of it. And at the end of every episode, we play it.
We're going to talk. Last one beat me up.
Last one got you, eh?
Last one beat me up.
So are we going? So white is surface, blue is a little bit deeper than that, and black is.
I guess tough.
I guess tough in the black. Where we going?
Up to you, bro. Whatever you want to do.
We're going black, dog.
Yeah, of course, man. This guy always going for
black. Black power. Ooh. Who's one person that loves you? Follow-up question. How do you know?
Who's one person that loves me and how do I know?
Yeah.
Is it too easy if I say my mom?
No.
No, can you go with that one?
Yeah, you
can. I feel like it's everybody's answer. I feel like it's everybody's answer. But my mom for sure, bro. She shows up for me in ways that I don't even think of how people could show up. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it, to be honest with you, it almost helps you shape how you would like other people to show up for you, right? Later down the line and forming those relationships. So just the consideration, and sometimes it's like over consideration, you know what I mean? Like what I explained to you, like at the building, for example, where I live at, there'd be times where she would be like, oh man, you know, like there's no spots outside and we'll have the one parking spot downstairs. So she'll be like, all right, I'm gonna just park outside or I'll Uber to wherever I have to go. And it's like, to make sure that I get a parking spot? Like, it's not that deep. It's all good. Like, go where you have to go. There's just those considerations. It's like, you don't have to, but that's how I know. That's like, those are things that she'll think about and going the extra mile and to show up for me or to show that she loves me in a sense. And that's how I receive it. Yeah, brother. How about you?
I gotta say my mom too. My mom definitely, we've had a tumultuous relationship like that.
I like that word.
Huh?
I like that word. I mean, something deep.
Yeah, like we had, like in my teenage years, like we were beefing. Like I didn't live with her. Mm-hmm. It's just we couldn't get along or see eye to eye. But I knew it wasn't because of anything malicious. It was just her love for me. She just wanted the best for me. And she was worried that I was going on the wrong path. Mm. You know, like getting arrested and getting suspended and all these type of things. So like, for her, she was just really worried about me and really she loved me so much. But like, even now, like I just see the way she pours into me and she checks on me and she's always just like, my mom almost feels like at times, like she's a therapist, she's a coach, she's my mom, she's a provider. Like I can go to her
all these things
for literally anything.
Yeah.
And she's just always there. You know what I mean? Just to listen, to give advice, like a mother's love, man, is just, I don't know. It's special, and it really does define what love is to you. And she just, she's really so proud of me. And it's so funny because like we sometimes take that love for granted.
Oh, all the time.
And my mom will say, I love you and I'm proud of you. I'm like, yeah, you're my mom, whatever.
Yeah, like, you're supposed to say that. Yeah, for sure.
But I've learned to like actually
sit with that.
Yeah. You know, and it's like, wow, she had me at 20 years old, mm-hmm. and pretty much put her whole life on pause for me. So it's like when you think like love is sacrifice, love is patient, love is pouring into someone, and she really has poured into me my whole life. Yeah, we had our ups and downs, but even just the relationship surviving that just shows that that's love. So my mom for sure.
Testament, bro. Well, another one in the books.
Yes, sir. You
know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, from us to you guys, appreciate you showing up, showing love. Remember, what we got? He's a Guy Podcast, you know what I'm saying? So
like
all platforms. I mean, at this point,
all platforms, baby. So like, comment, subscribe, and what question would they have for us? What topic do you guys want to see us talk about?
Oh, that's important. I like that.
That's a good one. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
So if you guys do have something that kind of centers around men's mental health or things that are just interesting to you that you'd like to see us, dive into and talk about, help you guys understand better what we're doing or to help better what's going on in your environment, your life, just please don't be afraid to reach out. You know what I'm saying? So again, from us to you, be safe. See you again.